website, and then I can pull it up from there. Can everybody see it?
It's kind of off a little bit. It's
We see the
that's
website.
better.
Okay.
I'm running for U.S. Senate for the state of Missouri. I'm good trouble because people are my first priority. I will represent all people and stay true to them as I stay true to myself. I'm authentic, unbought, unbossed, and non-biased. Oh, paving the way for change. Paving the way for change. No matter what it looks like, it's not too late for change. I ran for U.S. Congress in 2020 while sick and recovering from COVID-19. On August 4th,
For my children.
won the primary. I saw my opponents as team members because it will take us all to work together, building a better tomorrow, beginning today. Work better together. I believe in unlimited possibilities. Oh, paving the way for change. Paving the way for change. No matter what it looks like, it's not too late for change. My platform is healthcare, jobs, and the economy, reconciliation and reformation. Everywhere it's needed. Infrastructure, climate change, education, social justice, redistricting, and representing all people. That is my focus and goal. Oh, paving the way for change. Paving the way for change. No matter what it looks like, stop to police brutality. Let's respect one another and get these guns off the streets. Let's work together and be the change. Oh yes, paving the way for change. Vote for me in 2022. Let's be the change. Your vote, it really matters. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Let's be the change. Dr. Gena, paving the way for change. Paving the way for change. You can contribute to my campaign by going to my website, rossforussenate.com, or to my other social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, Ross for US Senate. God bless you, me, and all of America. Peace. Oh, paving the way. Paving the way.
So I'll flip my PowerPoint. So I wrote that song just sitting there and just made it up. And I know my pictures are old and outdated now, but that's kind of like my story. When I decided that I was going to go ahead and run, I wrote that after the insurrection. So I was compelled to just write it. Did I not stop it? Uh-oh. Okay. I thought I turned it off. Is that mine?
Infrastructure, change, education.
I turned mine off.
Pam, I think it's still running on your machine.
Yeah, that's not me. That's my after COVID voice. So I'm having surgery on Tuesday. After COVID, I end up with muscle tension dysphonia and restricted lung disease. And then I developed a polyp on my right vocal cord. So that will be removed on Tuesday morning. So I'm glad for that. Being a COVID survivor and a long hauler, it's been a journey. And then, so when I ran for Congress, I got COVID. And then running for Senate, I was just bit by a spider like 5 weeks ago. So yesterday, I just got my clearance that my wound is healed. It turned into cellulitis and it turned into MRSA. So I've been hopping for these last few weeks and it was really painful. The first 2 weeks, I could barely stand up or walk or anything. But I'm a person of perseverance and I just kept hopping and not stopping. So I'm not in my sleeve today. It's the first day my leg feels really good. I said, I don't know what it is. Me and these elections, I just get beat up, but I keep going and I bounce back. I tell myself I'm more than a conqueror and I'm an overcomer, but I made this slideshow just for you. I took this picture because I live in Platte City, Missouri, and this is like right by the airport because, that's right, New Mexico City Avenue. So I made this video. I took that picture, but then I put the slideshow together. And just in case you didn't know, our state nickname is the Show Me State. The state capital is Jefferson. State bird, bluebird. State flower, flower white. Hawthorn blossom. State insect is a honeybee. State animal is a mule. State rock is a Mozartite. State mineral is galena. The state song is a Missouri waltz. The state folk dance is a square dance. And I just put these major cities down just for myself. I'm an associate professor, so I always take notes and I do research. I look everything up.
Dr. Ross, can I interrupt just for a second? Pam?
Yes, sir.
Pam, would you mute yourself? There's still a lot of carryover that's interrupting her. Thanks.
Also, what we're seeing is somewhat, we're not seeing what
You're referring to.
Oh,
Dr.
okay, you
Ross.
know what
We're seeing
happened?
a desktop here.
Okay, you know what? When I shared, I didn't reshare that screen. My apologies. I have to do a new share. Thank you. I'll go back. Now, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was the picture that I took by the airport, by where I live. And this was the information where I was naming off the different things. And so if elected to Senate, I would like to be on the Health, Education, Labor, or Pension Committee, or the Rules and Administration Committee. And this was the article that was posted in the Platte County Citizen saying that I was going to run for US Senate. Why or why not? I'm concerned about all people. You can tell I'm a professor because I do PowerPoints and notes. So I hope I don't bore you and I won't read every piece of note, but I just wanted to give you a visual too, instead of just looking at me. So I'm concerned about all people in Missouri being represented in all 114 counties from the Southwest to the Southeast, Kansas City area, St. Louis, and mid-Missouri, every corner of Missouri from the urban, suburban, and rural. No county, no person, no one left behind. I will admit that I'm a peculiar person. I have my own thought process. And so I'm not tied to anyone in the political arena. So no one's not going to buy me. I may not get all these super big endorsements. And that's because if people endorse you, sometimes they think they can buy you and tell you what,
Yes, David.
What to do. And if it's not going to be best for us constituents, then I don't want anything to do with it. I won't be the popular candidate, and it's okay. It's my hope to reach as many people as possible to vote for their democracy, vote for policies that will benefit them, their family, their loved ones, because all of our futures are at stake. We need to get people to vote their conscience. People that never voted needed to vote. We need to do this together because we're all in this together. We got to get everybody to the polls, make sure people are registered early for early voting, and just help one another. So who is Dr. Gena Ross? I am a native of Minneapolis, Minnesota. My mother is Gloria Ross. My father, he's deceased, but my mother, she raised me as a single mom. My dad left when I was 2 months old. I'm the youngest daughter, the fifth child. My oldest sibling, she's deceased, and my younger brother, he's deceased. But I helped my mother raise my nieces and nephews, so I'm a proud aunt. My sister was in a drug treatment center in Brainerd, Minnesota. My mom had asked the judge to send her to Anoka. She said if anything happened to her, they would be responsible, but she went to Brainerd in January. I talked to her in February. And I had went to visit her, but she was afraid because she was the only person of color. And she said, bad things happened to people in the tunnel. And they were drawing nooses of her saying, die, N-word, die. Well, a few weeks after that, they found my sister dead. She had a noose around her neck and they closed down Brainerd. They just wrote it as suicide. So even though that happened, you got to forgive people and you just got to move on and do the best you can. So my nieces and nephews, they're grown. My mother, she took 3 and the other grandma took 2, but then one was a little mouthy. So I took that one and I was still young myself and I raised her child. I've always been a natural nurturer. So I'm a single mother of 3 young adult children now. So I'm a new empty nester. Their nicknames are Peanut Butter and Cube, but their names are really Dariel, Ariane, and Mark Wavis. And they all graduated from Platte County High School. And I moved to Missouri in 2008 when I left my ex-husband. He told me I would never make it without him. I wouldn't be nothing without him. And, all he tried to do was put us down. So I packed up the truck and I left. And I came here, left all my family. It was a very brave move and it was very hard and challenging to move from Minnesota to Missouri. And my children at that time were in kindergarten, second grade, and 4th grade, I think it was. And I put them in school they had 2 weeks left of school, but I enrolled them in so they would know people at least for summer and going into school the next year. And I was a soccer mom, meaning that I had to take them to cheer, soccer, cheer, choir, whatever it was. And I just had to maintain and balance everything. And so I'm just telling you, I'm a multitasker. I started my master's degree when I moved here, and it was challenging doing that and keeping up with everything else. And then I volunteered at a church, and then my ex-husband kept dragging me back to court all of a sudden to Minnesota, had my car taken from me. So I would get jobs, but I often had to just let my jobs go because it's like you run out of absences, or it's like then my children had appointments, and it's like, well, what do you pick, your children or your job? So I would pick my children, and we would just do the best that we could do. And I really didn't qualify for food stamps or anything like that. So I would work as hard as I could and try to make everything stretch. And that's why I said I'm more than a conqueror. I know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. I'm a real human being. I know struggles. I know what it feels like, and I know happiness. And through everything that I go through, I think it just makes me stronger to fight and persevere to help other people. Because how my mother raised me, you love thy neighbor, you help everybody. And even like when I was a little girl, we were driving down the street in Minneapolis, and there was this inebriated man in the street. Franklin Avenue in South Minneapolis is where they used to just call them Indians, but the Native American was laying in the middle of the street. My mother, she stopped the car and put him in, we had a station wagon at the time. She put him in the back seat. So I climbed all the way to the back. You know, I was like, what is wrong with my mom? And the man was saying his head was spinning. She took him to detox. She parked the car because she's a registered nurse. She's retired now. She's 80. But she took him into detox. She wasn't going to just leave him on the street. And I always seen her care for people, make sure people would eat. And she just helped everybody. So, and I got that from my mother. And I think the older I get, I turn more and more like my mother. I talk a lot like my mother now. I know no stranger. So I did win the primary for Missouri's 6th Congressional District in 2020. And I contracted COVID on the campaign trail. So I was sick. I was in the hospital twice. I was given oxygen and hydroxychloroquine on the first time. The first thing I was asked is, if you stop breathing, do you want us to resuscitate you? Yes, I did not want to die. You know, and just the whole thing was just horrible. And I know I had contracted on the campaign trail because it was before the mask mandate. I was going to a lot of meet and greets, and someone talking to me, their spit got in my eye. And this eye right here was so big underneath, it had a bump on it. So I had the COVID eye. So after I took all my medicine and got out the hospital, went back to the hospital, I didn't get my 2 negatives until May of 2020. And I didn't really feel good for a while, but I started going out a little bit here and there in June and July because I love being around people. So I tried to make it where I could in the 6th district. So I won the primary with 88 cents in my Congress checking account. I only raised $1,000, but I defeated 4 opponents. So, you know, some of my opponents were like, you need to quit because you're not raising any money. And I said, well, people vote, not money. And they're like, well, you're poor. Yeah, I might be poor and broke, but I'm rich in spirit. So, you know, I was just glad and I was thankful for that. And for the general election, Sam Graves, he defeated me, 20-year incumbent. I'll admit this person that wants to come in. I had 118,926 votes. And that's pretty good for a first time in the 6th district, because the rural district really gets, it's like nobody cares. They just leave them hanging. They already figure, well, the other party is going to win. But I think and all that, people still need to just work together and just keep trying. You just can't give up. You have to try. So I'm an associate professor at Kansas City, Kansas Community College, and my favorite classes are customer service and human relations and business. I teach a whole lot more, but those 2 classes, because you have to learn how to deal with all kinds of people, irate, angry people, happy people, people that are just real egotistical, self-centered, and you just, it's about building relationships and just knowing how to deal with people when you face opposition in the workplace, and you can use those skills anywhere. I am a licensed evangelist in the Church of God in Christ. So I proclaim the gospel, but I'm unbiased. I'm unbiased. I have respect for all people. If you're a human being, I respect you. I respect what who you are, what you do, no disrespect, and no respect to person for me. I have an earned PhD in public policy and administration. I have a master's in public administration. I have a bachelor's in business administration and associates in urban ministries. And with that urban ministries, I had, that was in 2004, when I went to North Central University in Minneapolis. And the class was called Urban Seminar. And my professor was taking us to Los Angeles. So I was all excited, oh, we're going to Los Angeles. But when we got there and we pulled up at the Dream Center, that's where Nightmare on Elm Street was filmed with Freddy Krueger. I was kind of disappointed. I was like, where's the hotel and all that? We lived like homeless people for 7 days. And we went to Skid Row and everything else. The first 2 days, I kind of was uncomfortable just because of the way the building looked and the screens weren't really on the windows, and they told us we couldn't bring food in there because there were mice and different things running around, and I didn't grow up with, seeing mice in the house or anything like that. So I was kind of scared. I sat up the first 2 nights, but after standing in line with wearing the badge and clapping like everybody else for their food, it really humbled me because that's all they had. And it was a blessing to them to be able to have shelter and someone to try to help them and make sure they would eat. I still didn't eat that food. Some of my peers did, and they got sick. So I didn't. I waited till we took a field trip. But I wasn't ungrateful. I was really grateful. And that's just a lesson that I learned, because you can't really tell someone how to go through if you've never even been in their shoes before. I also worked as a juvenile correction officer before I moved to Missouri. I did that for like 2 years till my Achilles tendon got ruptured from my son's foot bumping me. But in doing that, a lot of the children that were in there, it was because there wasn't enough room in the foster care homes. So that's pretty sad. And then some of the children, they were murderers. And I asked one guy, I said, why is it that you just start shooting? I said, you just spray bullets. People can't let their children go outside and play or anything. And he was like, lady, you just keep your kids in the house. I said, but do you not know that bullets don't have any names on it? So while you're spraying, because that's what they would call it then, I said, you could shoot your mom, your auntie, your grandma, or anybody. And he said, lady, I never thought about that. Never thought about it like that before. So sometimes all of the young people that are locked up, even some of the older ones, because I worked in the Missouri prison here too, as the warden's assistant, sometimes I just need people to listen to them, and some have mental health issues. So we really need that to be prevalent and help people in this day and time. And as you know, I'm a songwriter, but I really can't sing. But when I get my voice back, I might re-record all of my songs. So, and I'm an advocate. I'll fight for you. I believe in democracy, people first, people as a whole, without defining all these groups. Because I think the more that people try to define everything, it makes it worse and just keeps us divided. And this is on my website, just unbossed, as Shirley Chisholm would say, unbought and unbiased, but paving the way for change. That's really what I want to do. And I can't do it without all of you. So I really believe in healthcare, democracy, reconciliation, because I don't like division. And like, again, what happened on January 6th, that was just horrible, it was awful. I think America as a whole needs reconciliation. When I was a little girl, we used to pledge allegiance to the flag every day, and we'd say liberty and justice for all. And it's like they taught us all that, and we'd be so proud. And, we would sing, there are 50 states in the land, and oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam. And it's like, we need to bring that back. You know what I mean? Because it's like right now, people just don't care anymore. Some people care, but then there's those that block things that will take away from everybody else. So I believe in cooperation, accountability, holding people accountable. Like the late General George Patton said, lead, follower, get out the way. We need good leadership in Missouri to represent every county, everything, every facet of just in our everyday life. We pay taxes, we should be covered. I believe in sustainability, integrity, social justice, climate change, and voting rights. This is a picture of my mom. So you see who raised me. She worked really hard, and this was her 80th birthday. I gave her a party in July, and she just didn't know what to do. She's 80 and bossy. Doesn't matter how old you are, your mom will still tell you what to do. And I'm not as young as I look. I'll be 51 in a few days. But that is my mother. And these are my 3 children. That's the oldest one. He looks a little shady right there, but he's really cool. They're all good kids. That's Q, that's Butter, and that's Peanut. But Ariane, Danielle, and Marquavis, my niece nicknamed them. Democracy. So I believe in America where all of God's children are valued equally. What matters and benefits us most, and it should be accessible to everybody. We shouldn't have to beg for what we deserve. These are my biggest supporters from Buchanan County. They supported me when I ran for Congress, and they came to an event not that long ago, but I love children. I really do. Healthcare, I support healthcare, of course, you know that. We just had the Medicaid expansion approved, but we're striving for continuous improvement. I believe in high quality healthcare, including but not limited to general health, mental health, dental, and vision. Like, I have insurance, but being bit by the spider, going to the ER was $250. I had to go back to the ER 2 days later. That was $250. And every time I go to the wound doctor, I went 5 times, it's $55. And then my prescriptions, and then how much my bills are going to be. I was thinking about other people that don't have insurance, and you know how some people would just stay at home and just be sick and possibly pass away, or you know, anything could happen. People shouldn't have to decide if they're going to pay rent or buy food or get their prescriptions, and prescriptions need to be affordable. And I think for pharmaceutical companies, we should force them for competition. So no monopoly, just to make sure that we have what we need. And like this eczema cream I wanted, they told me $109 at Walgreens, so it's still sitting there. It's too much. I also believe in ordinances that promote clean air and air for health and safety of the public and workers. I keep track of time. I don't want to talk too much. Sustainable economic development. I support fighting for affordable housing and programs that will help homeless veterans. I support pre-K. I support so much. I support farming, infrastructure. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I want to leave you time. I don't want to talk so much that I don't leave any time for questions for you. So I'm sorry if I seem like I'm rushing. I get conscious of time. But sustainable communities, housing is a human right, high quality, safe, fair, accessible, and affordable for all. Shelter space for homeless and access to employment and other life-sustaining skills. I oppose housing discrimination based on credit history due to unrelated to a housing obligation. And families should be able to be self-sustaining in their communities. Annual update with a transparent public budget of economic development and include decision-making processes that focus on areas that need the most assistance. I also believe in and support a living wage that is indexed to inflation. Also tax incentive funding. That would be like for solar panels or anything for renewable energy, anything that benefits we the people. I believe in youth development. As I was stating, you know, there's a lot of kids in foster care or some that just roam the streets, but if we had more programs that would benefit them by mentoring them and teach them life skills, it might help them to be better, and then it would protect other people in their communities. I think it would keep down crime and some other things. So here again, I support education. And I know what it's like to struggle with student loan debt, having a PhD. And then my daughter, she is a senior at Grambling State University. She's actually Miss Senior this year too, but she already has a student loan debt before she graduates. So I told her she needs to go ahead and be a teacher so she can apply for the public forgiveness loan or work in public service so she can kind of get some help. Otherwise, she's going to be struggling because I can't take care of her. I'm trying to maintain, and it's my time to live. But, you know, it's not fair when they just come up with a whole lot of debt when they're really trying. So 2 years free community college and some other assistance, that would be great. Fighting injustice, I will fight for policies that protect the humanity, the economic dignity, and the well-being of all people. I will stand against policies that seek to be barriers against democracy and to exclude the most vulnerable Americans economically, educationally, and politically. Voting reform, I support protecting voting rights. It's one of my highest priorities too, to ensure that the right to vote is no longer at risk. I'd like to see a task force to fight against discrimination in voting, a permanent policy that would lock down this issue so we wouldn't have to ever revisit it again. I mean, all this stuff, it's just, it's nonsense. It's ludicrous. Just let people vote. Let people have the day off so they can vote. Let them vote early. Let them register and vote on the same day. Their vote counts, their vote matters, and it's their right. Climate change, I support education awareness in regards to climate change and its importance to public health in urban corn harvest and rural areas. I also support tax and financial incentives for renewable energy. So I'm kind of repeating myself again, but we should use all of our resources and we really need clean air. Clean air matters. Gun violence, mass incarceration, prison reform, mental health, rehabilitative programs, and urban initiatives. So I believe in, here someone needs to get in. Okay, I just let him in. I support Fund Peace. It's an initiative that the Biden administration had to fund gun violence. You know, I support Moms Demand Guns, and I support funding programs that help with mental health, substance abuse, and programs that will rehabilitate individuals and promote and assist with education initiatives, economic development, crime prevention, family and financial literacy. And this past weekend, my boots are a little big, but I wanted to go to this event in Platte County. I couldn't zip my boot all the way up, but I wanted to go to the farm. That was my first time actually on a farm. And I had my hat from Minnesota and I just couldn't wait to wear my hat. So we went to Aldridge Orchard and their little farm in Platte City. And I just had the time of my life. At first, I was a little scared to get out the car because the chickens were roaming around, but I was okay. And this was the other week, and my leg was still wrapped, hopping but not stopping in St. Joe. We had a candidate forum. I never look the same, so you know. I always look different. And this was at the post office in 2020. This was in Hannibal. This was when they had a mural in Kansas City in the streets, you know, just saying unity, love, and all that. And someone had drove all over it and poured paint all over. So I went to try to, I really can't paint, but I tried to paint We're Better Together and just do some outline, just to show some support. And it actually was really fun. This was up in Hannibal. And then I also just added in the Missouri Medicaid phone number, if anybody wants to apply or know someone that wants to apply. And that's my rossforusenate.com, and that's my ActBlue. I made my page myself. I could really use a lot of help. Let me close this out here. Let me stop the share. Okay, so I did the best I can on my website. I'm very independent, but I love working with people. Some people, they won't help because they can't control you, but it doesn't stop me. I just keep going on anyways. I persevere, I press, I just keep going. So that's my presentation for today. And I thank you for listening. I thank you for your time. And so yeah, if you want to help volunteer, I would love to use your help. And if you want to donate, you can go to my website and just click on the link. It would help. But thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ross. So I guess we have plenty of time for some questions now. So what questions do we have? I'm looking for hands. Or just unmute yourself and speak up.
Herb has his up.
Oh, thank you. Herb, go ahead.
Yes, you declared wide-ranging interests and concerns. I think that's good. And I think it's a necessary role for a senator to be concerned about a wide range of issues, but I don't have a sense of your policy priorities. Could you identify, say, 3 policy priority areas which will guide your request for committee assignment, which will fuel your most energetic and immediate efforts in recruiting staff and so forth?
Well, first and foremost, with democracy, I would like input from the constituents. I would like to build everything based on, I know what I say we need, but I also want to know from you what we would need, and then work together and then put those policies in place. Does that make sense?
Not quite the question I was asking.
Okay, can you
asking
repeat
about
that again, sir?
I was asking about where you are coming from. I do
Okay.
understand, appreciate and respect your interest and concern to be a representative as a senator. Very good. But you also have a role. And I was wondering what your priorities were, the first things you want to emphasize. Not that you're excluding anything else, but what comes first.
Getting rid of corruption, getting rid of filibusters, getting rid of policies that don't represent and benefit people. And the HR 1 for the voting, the passing the Freedom Act, that would be one of my priorities. But first and foremost, still, I would get rid of the corruption. I would work to get rid of the corruption as best as I could with the help of other people. Because I see it as still, we're better together and working with people and finding whistleblowers and having people that won't be afraid to blow the whistle where they know that there's corruption, because you still need to hold people accountable. Just because somebody is your friend or your buddy, that doesn't mean that you look the other way. So these policies that don't work for us, that work against us, that's what my first steps would be, is to make sure that all people are represented. I know what you're trying to say. I know what you're saying, but I'm so into making sure people are represented and clean up so we can move forward.
Dr. Ross, I'm still fairly new to politics myself. Could you focus on, you mentioned the corruption, or specifically, what are some of the things that are corrupt and need to be ferreted out and cleaned up?
The super PACs money being taken, it's the money issues. Just like when I ran for Congress, I'm an NEA union member and I was seeking endorsement. And I was told, because Sam Graves, they say he's not good, but he always gives money, and they have a money thing going on, that they said they always endorse him. And I said, well, then you're a hypocrite, because I'm a union member and I pay dues. So if you won't endorse me and I'm an educator and you endorse him because he gives you money, that's not right. So then I was told, out of respect for me, they didn't endorse him, but they didn't endorse me either. So they have this money and it's exchanging from one bad hand to the other hand. So that kind of stuff with the money, just all the fraud, the hidden money, that's an issue. That's an issue. And I would have to work with some other people, to even find out more. But I'm a researcher, so I would research what I don't know. I research and I will find out. But there is a lot of corruption with money.
Thank you. That answers my question.
One thing I wanted to highlight about your background is that you were a constituent services representative for Senator Claire McCaskill. And that was something that I didn't get to highlight in my introduction, but I thought everybody ought to know that was your background also.
Yes, I read a lot of letters and I helped a lot as a constituent services representative. But Claire McCaskill, she sent me a message and asked me not to use her name in any of this because she's on a contract with MSNBC for TV. So that's why I didn't bring it up, out of respect for her. as she asked me not to use our pictures going forward just because she's on that TV contract. So I told her I can respect that, but I did work for her. And it was very enjoyable. And it was very interesting. You know, I was like, how does this lady do this? You know, and that was my first time being in the office and people outside protesting about the unions. And they were very upset. And she was real calm and just chill about it. But everybody is different. And it's just amazing to be able to have power, but people abuse their power and they don't use it in the right way to represent.
David Robinson, did I see your hand up? You got a question? Go ahead.
Yes, my first question was going to be like the others, so I'll answer ask a different one now. In your own background, you've had a wide range of educational experiences in different fields and different areas. You also taken a very active interest in education of family members, certainly your children, but others. Education is a huge issue in the state of Missouri, the state and local level, but also there are roles of the federal government in helping us to do better with education. What do you see the main federal priorities in education?
Making sure that there's equal access to a quality and affordable education for everyone. And even making sure that, because right now, I think they're having issues with children being able to eat at school.
Yeah.
But education should be quality, affordable. As a substitute teacher, I used to go to different districts. And it would just be amazing how one district would have everything. And then in another district, I'm almost terrified because I don't know if a rat's going to come jumping out, you know, no. And it just, the learning was different. The structure was different. You know, some children had smart boards and other ones just had a regular old chalkboard. And things need to be brought up. It needs to be equal all the way across the board, no matter what zip code you're in or where you're from. So more funding needs to go for that, to make sure that people have their education that they need. And they need better leadership too, because like I wrote my school dissertation on the Kansas City, Missouri School District.
Oh dear.
They have all those accreditation issues and they changed like 27 superintendents. So something's wrong with that leadership. We need stability. You need good people that really care and not just there for a paycheck. And so I think even quarterly assessments of principals and superintendents and teachers and everyone, just to make sure that they're up to par so they can keep up with the students.
Well, I'm glad I asked that question. I can tell that you have many more things to tell about it. So thank you for that.
Look, I know what it's like to go through a metal detector at school. It says Carl and Marquisella raise hand.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. I'm very interested in your interest in healthcare and specifically whether or not you support Medicare for all, or if not, what type of system you would envision to try to serve more people with healthcare.
I support Medicare for all. I support anything that's going to help people be healthy, have lower prescription drugs, rural access to community clinics, you know, more clinics where people don't have to drive an hour to a hospital and things. Anything that supports your well-being in life, I support it. So I'm all for healthcare. And no one expects or just plans to get sick. You know, and if someone that has cancer, they didn't choose to get cancer, but I don't think they should be penalized because they don't have the insurance or they don't have all the money, that they can't have the care that they need or the prescriptions that they need so they can have a good life and, you know, and try to get the healing that they need for their body, even for their mental health, even for your eye care. If someone has cataracts or glaucoma or something, they should be able to go to the doctor and get the help that they need, not stay home and just try to deal with it because you can't afford it or you don't have the insurance. Healthcare, to me, it's a human right. I don't think it should just be, oh, well, no, it's not a priority. It's a priority and it's your right.
Thank you. Alice Turner, did you have your hand up?
So Dr. Ross, in case you want to give any advice to President Biden on COVID vaccinations, I'm just kind of interested in some of your ideals with getting to the minority community, getting to the community that you live in, what you think of mandates. I love them personally. So I'll just let you talk about that some.
Well, I can tell you this because I'm an honest, transparent person. Because I had COVID and I have a lot of allergies, I am not vaccinated. I'm with my natural immunity, but I always wear my mask and I wear a face shield or I wear glasses and I use hand sanitizer and I wash my hands because I could have another reaction to that. But as far as COVID and President Biden, the mandates, first and foremost, I think he needs to be consistent and stay consistent. A lot of people are afraid of, some people are afraid of the vaccine just because of all the different stories and all the different things that they read on social media. So some stuff is crazy, but telling you that it'll alter your DNA or you're gonna turn into a robot or something. Some people actually believe that stuff. But I think that I really can't say on that one. I suck at that one because I'm not vaccinated and I don't want to be a hypocrite to tell someone else, but I think if it's best for your body, that you should get the vaccine and get the boosters. And I still think people should wear masks just to protect themselves and others. I want COVID to go away, especially being a long hauler. But I probably flopped on this one. I'm sorry, Ms. Turner.
No,
But I can't really tell somebody something. Yeah.
I just looked up today, my sister, a Democrat, well-educated, is not vaccinated, the only one in the family. And she's one of 15% in the country of people over 65 who aren't vaccinated. So at least the seniors are getting the risk to them. But thank you for your honesty. And you probably represent a lot of people out there. I feel differently. I believe in mandates, flu shots, whatever kind of shots that we ask children to get, seniors to get. I believe in them. I think they keep us safe and we're in a pandemic, but you certainly, we're being honest in your response. Thank you.
And two, I'll say my daughter, she did get the first dose of Pfizer and she got sick and she went to the hospital twice in Louisiana. And so I know my sensitivities and the allergies that I have. So that even made me more hesitant. And I don't know if you read my news story that's on my website, and it talks about the reason I won't, but I would never discourage anybody from not getting it. I think it would be a good thing for people. I just don't tell people to go ahead because they would say, well, you don't have it, but I don't have it because of my health conditions with, allergies. And then seeing my daughter, hearing her crying and suffering and someone taking her to the hospital twice. And so I just thought, I was like, well, if my daughter is going through and I'm her mother, what would happen to me? Because having COVID was so traumatic to me, I don't ever want to feel that ever again. I mean, the fevers, the headache, the coughing, everything, it felt like someone was just stepping and standing on my head. And I was just gasping for air. I felt like a goldfish in a Ziploc baggie with no water and no air. I mean, that's how bad it was for me. And they say that different people, some people say they haven't had any reactions to the vaccine at all, but some people would tell me about the symptoms that they have. And I think I have COVID PTSD because I was like traumatized and I'm scared. I don't want to feel that ever again. I mean, it was horrible. So I look, I have a shield right here and I wear a mask and I wear glasses. And I wash my hands all the time. And I respect other people and I still keep my 6 feet social distance, even in my classroom. I'll say what I have to say to my students and then I'll go and take a seat. just out of respect and
I
protecting myself.
appreciate your expression, the goldfish in the bag, because I, that's
Yeah,
the
I
best
mean, it was
description I've
horrible.
heard of what it's like.
Horrible. And then being in a hospital with nobody with you, you're just in there alone. And it's like, okay, I see another hand, James Phillips.
Hi, I'm James Phillips with the Columbia Missourian. And I just wanted, you're running in the 6th district. It's, primarily red, and you ran there before. And I was just curious how you're approaching this, election differently from your last one, knowing what you know.
Yeah, well, I need a team, but this time I'm still gonna get out as much as possible. And so I'm gonna get out on the trail and just connect with people and just let my presence be known and let my platform be known, because this time it's a wider range than just District 6. But many of the people in District 6, they still talk to me and still keep up with me. They let me know what's going on. So they're still with me, even though we got other people running too. Even if I don't win the primary, I'm okay because I'm working with my opponents. I see them as, we're on the same team. So whoever wins, I'll support them. I'm happy for them. And I'm the only woman right now. So it's like, I'm running with all these men and they're raising lots of money, and my fundraising is still not that great because I'm off to a slow start. But no matter what, I'm just going to be encouraged, and I'm just going to be me and do the best that I can. I'm not going to tell people stuff that I don't believe, or, or just because it sounds good. I want to be honest, because that's how I am. I just want to be Gena. It's like what you see is what you get. I'm not going to make promises that I can't keep. I don't want to just give you all these long speeches and stories and then win and then forget about everybody that you got to vote for you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Anybody else? Are you excited that it's Friday? I am.
All right, well, I think we're about time to wrap up. I thank you so much again, Dr. Ross, for being here today and sharing your platform and what your story is. It's always good. Personally, I like to hear the background and where people are coming from. So I appreciate you opening up for us on that. Everyone, if you'll come back next week, I've forgotten who's on the schedule for next week, but Pam, do you remember?
The parks tax.
Thank you. Yes, the parks. That's what we'll be voting on in November. Thank you, Alice. So come back next week for the information on the city sales tax, city park tax informations. We'll see y'all new next week. And if anyone wants to stick around and visit some more with Dr. Ross, if she can stay, I'm going to have to lip out. I'm heading over to the Democratic office now. We don't have a Friday afternoon person, so I'm headed that way, but I'm going to drop out. All the rest of you are welcome to stick around and chat if you like, and I'll see all of you next week then.
Thank you. And Mr. Herb, I'm going to do some more research off of your question. I'm going to look up some more policies and get some more stuff.
We wish
You're
you
muted.
well.
Thank you.
We do appreciate your coming very much. Thank you for doing
Thank you.
so.
Ross.
And we
Thank you.
appreciate your running. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody stay safe and have a wonderful weekend. Bye, Ms. Turner. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Mr. Dan. I feel like I'm on Romper Room. Bye.
Bye.
Kayla Jackson Williams also said she appreciated your presentation. Well, I think it's us. I'll say goodbye.